Sanctuary. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name's Brenda. I'm one of the educators here. Today I have a couple volunteers that are going to be helping me today, so let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Taylor.
Hi, I'm Tyler.
Let's give them a round of applause. Today, well, first, how many people have not been here before? Any first timers? Cool. Welcome and welcome back. So let me tell you a little bit about us. Fish Wildlife Sanctuary, we are partners with the Loxahatchee River District. That's the property that we're sitting on. They are a sewage plant. Anything that goes down the drain ends up in a building over there. They clean the water to about 98% clean. Then that water gets transferred behind me to ponds. Then that water gets transferred out to water golf courses, medians, and public spaces. So they're not using our good drinking water to water the grass, so that's pretty cool. Honey, we're going to have to stay as quiet as we can be, okay? So the animals that we have that we're going to be bringing out, we're just going to ask, there's a couple of rules. We want everybody to make sure that we stay seated wherever we are. We're also going to stay as quiet as possible. That way all of our animals are still considered wild animals. So we want to make sure that they are comfortable when they come out, also when they come back. If we are going to talk about them up here, and then we will walk with them. If you want to pet them, that's fine. We're going to pet on the back end. We're going to stay away from the mouth. That's the business end. But we're also going to stay as quiet as we're walking too. Whoever's walking, we're not going to be talking to y'all. But if you want to take a picture, that's fine. All the questions will wait until the end. That way we can get through our program for y'all. All right, so you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, so let's give them another round of applause.
All right, so the first animal we're bringing out is our American alligator. Now, the one she's bringing out right now is still very little. It's only about 2 feet long. And by this, we can tell that it's probably about a year old, maybe a little younger. When these guys are born, they're only about 6 to 8 inches. And so they actually grow 12 inches every year until they hit 5 feet. Once they hit 5 feet, they only grow 1/4 of an inch to an inch per year. So their growing slows down a lot. And that's when we consider them adult, is at 5 feet, just because they do grow very slowly after that. So if you imagine only growing an inch to 1/4 of an inch per year, imagine how old a 12-foot alligator could be. It could be over 60 years old, so that's pretty crazy that it could be that old. We actually don't really know how long alligators could possibly live. The largest one we've ever seen was in Louisiana, and it was 19 feet long, so they can get very, very large. But the one that's in captivity still, the first one that was in captivity, is still alive, so we don't know how old they could possibly get. So we really just don't know. In the wild, though, it's about 50 to 70 years is about the max for an alligator to live. But it also depends on the food that they're eating, if there's enough food and stuff like that as well. In captivity, there's always going to be food, and they're not as prone to illnesses and stuff like that. So that's why they live longer in captivity. When you guys are petting them, you're going to feel that they have very rigid scales on their back. And these are called scutes. These little plates actually help absorb the sunlight. So they basically act like miniature solar panels. Now, alligators, like other reptiles, are warm or cold-blooded? Cold-blooded, that's right. We are warm-blooded, meaning we get our energy from the food we eat. These guys are cold-blooded, meaning they get their energy and their warmth from the sun, right? Or just the heat of the air. So that means these guys are going to be basking in the sunlight, getting the UVB and everything like that as well. So that's how they're going to be getting their energy. So they're very different from us. But that's what the scutes help them do. Now, if you also notice that their hands and feet are webbed, which a lot of people think are for swimming, right? Because that's what webbed feet are for, right? Well, these guys actually use their hands for digging, and I'll explain that in just a second. But their tail is actually what they use for swimming, not their hands. They actually fold their feet and their arms back and when they're swimming, and they'll use their tail. And when they're swimming with their tail, it actually stirs up all the nutrients that are in the whatever is under the water. And so whatever is basically the bed of the water, it's going to stir all that up, and it gets the nutrients going. Now, these guys eat fish and other animals that live by the water, and so those animals get the nutrients, and then the alligator eats them. So the alligator is basically helping other animals, and it's also helping itself by doing that.
No? Okay.
So back to their hands. These guys are very important, and the reason is because they dig what are called gator holes. Gator holes, basically what they do is leftover water from creeks, canals, ponds, lakes, anything like that will drain into them. What ends up happening is even here in Florida, we have a dry season. And so once the water in the ponds and lakes dries up, then the gator holes are basically all that's left. So fish and stuff like that, water birds are able to go to there, and that's how they're able to get their drink. The fish are able to live in there, so they're very, very important. 50 or 60 years ago, they were killing these guys for their skin, for their meat, and so what ended up happening was their population ended up depleting, and there's only a few hundred left. So once they realized that they're really important because of those gator holes, they started saving them. They stopped killing them, and now there's only certain seasons where you can kill them. Now there's over 1 million alligators here in Florida, over 1 million in Louisiana, and they also go all the way up to South Carolina and over to Texas as well. So there's a lot more alligators. There's almost 3 million alligators now, when there was only a few hundred left. Now here in Florida we do have both alligators and crocodiles, but crocodiles only live in southern Florida. They don't really live anywhere else here in the United States. They live in a few other countries, and so that's basically the only place they're going to live is here in South Florida, at least in America. There's only a few hundred of those left, so there's not very many crocodiles left, and they keep disappearing. So we're trying to save those guys too now that alligators have a steady population, but it's a lot harder with them because they require warmer waters. The only place they live is near a power plant, and that's because the power plant warms the water for them. And so that's basically the only place they're going to live. And so that's why we're not really being able to save them for that. So we're going to go ahead and say goodbye, and the only way to say goodbye is see you later, alligator.